welcome to the GR8 Minds Podcast, brought to you by the Wharfedale, Airedale and Craven Alliance. I'm your host, David Pugh, and today I'm joined with co-host
Lucy. I'm the Children and Young People Social Prescriber for Oakley and Wharfedale.
And we've also got a guest speaker with us again today.
Matt. I'm from Modality, so I'm the young person social prescriber for Fisher Medical in Cross Hills and Sultan.
And today we've got two young people with us from the Craven area. So, guys, do you want to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about who you are?
I'm Tom. I'm from Skipton, and I'm in year 11.
I'm Anisa. I also live in Skipton, and I am in year 12.
Perfect. So, a little bit of an icebreaker question. Just try and get to know a little bit about you guys and also hear about each other. So, the question is, would you rather be chased by 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
So it's a deep question.
It is.
Aim to get the root of who you are.
It is.
You know.
100 duck size.
I think I'd have to go for the 100 duck-sized horses because obviously there's more of them, but they're a lot smaller. You can just kick them out of the way. You could get eaten by a horse-sized duck, you know, it's got a big beak.
Yeah.
They're renowned for eating humans.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree because realistically, also the horse-sized duck can fly. We haven't
What's the word? The force, the air force that would, when they flap their wings would knock someone over, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's a fair one. Lucy?
I think that's a very strong point to make as well. I was kind of in the middle of where I'd go, but after your comment, Tom, I think I'd back you there as well.
Yeah.
So we're going with 100 duck-sized horses.
Yes.
Are you the same?
I think so. Although what if you could tame the horse-sized duck?
It says chase.
You could fly on it. You could go places on it.
Oh.
Imagine that. That's a curveball.
Like house trained.
But it says.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it specifically says chase.
It does. But what if you tire it out and then you, I don't know.
We've been chased by a horse before.
Have you?
Yeah. It wasn't a duck-sized horse.
Oh.
It was terrifying because I was about 6. And, going into the horse's field to go sledging. Everybody did every year, but then for that year, we hadn't realised that nobody else was in that field, and there was a good reason for that. It's because the horses were in there, and so we were chased by it. So yeah, probably traumatised by that for a few years. Whenever we went out sledging and making sure there were no animals around. So, yeah, I think I'd definitely go for the 100 duck-sized horses though, because the size of them. I'd go with that.
I'm glad that's cleared that up. Okay.
What's your question?
I know. I feel like I've got some resolution now. It's good.
So yeah, obviously we're here to chat a little bit about mental health, and today's theme is particularly around some of the pressures that are placed on us, quite often thinking around school, and some of the issues that we face within the school setting. So, Tom and Anisa, what do you think are some of the main pressures that are put on you at the moment?
Well, I think you've definitely got a lot of academic pressures. I think in all schools you'll see that, especially if kind of your parents push you towards that a little bit as well. So I think academic pressures will always be there, and then you've just got social pressures as well from friends, different social groups, maybe, you know, you can see somewhere that you want to be and you're not really sure, you know, how to get there, and there's different pressures that come with that as well.
And Anisa, off of that, what would you say you're trying to do to try and alleviate some of those pressures? Because obviously I'm aware, you know, I support young people, and a lot that are coming through recently are around prepping for exams, trying to find that bit of a balance of time to yourself as well. So what sort of things are you trying to do?
I think definitely, like, for me, timetabling is really, like, useful. So timetabling, like, having a set time every day, or, you know, making sure that I have time every day that I can take to myself. You know, I'll go read a book, sit in the park with my friends. Sometimes we go and do that, which is just really nice to make sure you are taking a break out of all your studying and revising to kind of spend time with friends, be on your own, just kind of be in a whole different mindset. I think that's really important.
And Tom, I've known you a long time, but and I would probably say it's fair to say that you're less organised than that, maybe. So for you, how, some of those kind of, particularly maybe academic and social pressures that Anisa was talking about, how would you cope with them for the less organised amongst us?
I'd almost do the complete opposite, but it is all personal preference. It won't be something that works for everyone. But I would rather just think, I'll just see what happens. If there's something that I know will happen today, my family's going out for a walk and I really want to go, then I'll organise, I'll think, I have to do my revision now. I'm not completely blind to all time periods, but then I wouldn't go out of my way to make it. I've actually done it once and I just didn't stick to the timetable and I just felt really bad because I didn't do enough work.
Did you spend more time making the timetable?
No, I didn't, but I just
following
didn't.
It.
I just didn't, yeah, definitely, but I didn't actually follow the timetable and then I just felt really bad because I thought, I failed.
So I think there's something in that actually it's quite an individual thing, and finding what works for you is really important. And for some people, having everything really organised, revision timetables set out and really sticking to them quite rigidly is something that works for a lot of people. And then for other people, then just having something vague, okay, I know time, I'm not completely oblivious to, when my exams are and things like that, and I know that I've got to do some revision, but fitting it in and being a little bit flexible so that sometimes you can do other things, but you're still managing to get the revision and stuff like that in. And whatever way works for you, then that's fine. What about some of the other pressures that you mentioned? You mentioned sort of the social pressures, Anisa. What do you feel there?
Well, I think obviously there's always just going to be social pressure of being in a school with loads and loads of different people, it's not as bad as American movies where you see all the different cliques and things, but that whole thing of you've got lots of different types of people and you can see, little bits of yourself in different people, but it's also that thing of kind of trying to maintain your individuality but also fitting in, and I think that's really hard because a lot of the time, definitely when you're younger, you just want to fit in and not stand out and have your friends and be really close with your friends and kind of just fit in with them really well. And I think obviously you've got lots of pressure that comes from being with them and not kind of standing out too much that pushes you so far out of the group.
What would you say in terms of expectations? Because obviously what I've felt recently is sometimes we set the bar a little bit too high, unnecessarily sometimes, and then obviously if we don't reach that goal, we feel quite disheartened about ourselves, or it could have a negative impact. Whereas if we, be realistic and work towards, what is achievable, instead of setting the goal a little bit too high, and then, like you said there, getting pressures from either the school or parents or on yourself, where would you say you sit? Are you kind of, obviously you want to aim and achieve the best that you can do, but would you say that sometimes you set that bar a little bit too high, or are you quite...
I think occasionally I will set goals and then, look back on them in a week and be like, well, why did I ever think I could do that? But then sometimes it's really nice to set yourself little tasks because it can make you feel more accomplished, even if you're doing lots of little things rather than one big thing, and it doesn't make it feel as daunting either to have one massive paragraph. So there's been some work that I've been putting off just because I know I'm looking at it and it's 5-6 pages, but now I'll break it down, I'll just do 1 page a day. And I think just me having that mentality that goes, I don't need to get it all done in one go, and I can split it up and take my time with it. I think that's really useful, and it just makes you feel a bit more accomplished and better about yourself as well, and what you're actually getting done.
Yeah, definitely. That's really important to like you said there, just break tasks down, make them, achievable and realistic. And yeah, obviously then that does help you to support you to move forward. Because like you said, once you've accomplished one thing, you think, right, I've done this, I can move forward now and go on to the next stage.
Yeah,
so really...
it definitely increases your motivation as well, because I think when you have accomplished something sometimes it'll be really hard and you're like, oh, I'm not doing something like that, and you just take a break. But other times you'll be like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, and you can do a bit more because you kind of built it so much up in your head that when you actually get to it, it's kind of really easy. So I think, it just increases your motivation sometimes as well.
And that does have a wider impact on your general well-being as well, doesn't it? Like when you feel like you've been more productive or you've achieved what you set out to achieve, that kind of, even down to like, you might sleep better that night, for example, you might have, or just, you wake up and you feel ready to go for the next day because you achieved what you needed to yesterday and you're like, wow, I can smash today as well. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do a task. So I like to write lists of what I'm going to do, but sometimes I'll complete a task that wasn't on that list. So I'll write it out just to be able to tick it off, because then I feel a lot more productive and accomplished if I've been able to like tick it off.
I think that's quite good, being able to even physically just tick something off the list and just go, yeah, I've got it out of the way. For anybody who is listening carefully, they may well have just noticed we've got an additional person with us. So Emma has just arrived and just joined us. I won't make you feel really bad for being late, Emma. That's all. I'd never do that. But Emma, do you want to just introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, what area you're from, and yeah.
I'm Emma and I'm a sixth form student in Skipton.
Perfect.
Do we ask her the hard-hitting question?
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
That's the big question that we've all been thinking about today. So, would you rather be chased by 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
I was literally asked this yesterday.
I didn't ask you it.
And you didn't know, but I was asked this yesterday, and I think I'd go for 100 duck-sized.
Yeah. You joined the
horses.
consensus, yeah.
Yeah.
What was your reasoning behind that?
Well, they could be ducklings. So, they'd be small-sized, well, they'd be very, very small horses.
Okay.
And I feel like, because I seem bigger than them, I could tackle them, whereas one big duck, I think I'd be, like the same as what we were just saying. If I have one big task to accomplish, it's a lot harder than if I've got a few little assignments,
100 duck-sized
Yeah,
assignments.
it's the same thing, really.
Okay. I like thinking.
Link that in quite well there, breaking it down into those smaller tasks. But yeah. Do any of you have any stories of a time where you've felt that you were really under pressure, but now you can look back and feel quite good about it, almost laugh about it and go, actually, yeah, it wasn't quite as bad as what I was expecting. I got through that and it was fine.
When I did my year 7 exams, they were the first probably, because I did SATs, which weren't actually, I didn't realise they were that important, to be honest. And my 11 plus was quite important. But then I did my year 7 exams and I thought they were ridiculously important. I was like, there was some rumours that I was going to get kicked out of school if I didn't do well in them. And so I was probably more stressed about them than I am about my GCSEs, to be honest. And it's just, and then I was just like, I can't even remember what I got. It was just so irrelevant then that I stressed so much over it, ridiculous amounts. It's just too much stress.
Yeah.
I didn't need to.
Oh, no, yeah, a bit of perspective, But I guess when you're in year 7, it's a test that's in front of you and you get told you have to do well, so you want to do as well as you can.
You want to do as well as you can, but it doesn't define who you are if you do badly in a year 7 test or any test.
School made it sound so much bigger than it was as well. They gave you, for us at least, they gave us a big booklet of everything you need to know for every single subject, and they made it seem like such a big deal. I feel like I was so much more organised for that than I was actually for my GCSEs. I just remember sitting on the kitchen table crying with my mum, like, I don't know anything, it's so stressful.
Yeah, I do remember, I think we've been looking through all of our old year 7 stuff and it's like, wow, I did so much. I'm not doing that, I didn't do that on my GCSEs. But it's just like, I took that really seriously. And I think for me as well, I just took the whole of primary school way too seriously. And I do kind of somewhat regret it because obviously it was really fun. But at the same time, I think I was always like, I would practice my spellings, and I was like, it's really not that deep. I didn't need to do that. I can spell fine. I'm an excellent speller, but it would have been all right if I wasn't.
I think that's what we've got to take moving forward in life in general now. Obviously, we want you to all do as well as you can do in exams and things like that. But at the end of the day, you're an individual person. You may have strengths in other areas. And I don't know if you guys have kind of decided a pathway or a career that you want to go down. But I know when I was in school, and it was always drilled that it was like you went to school, then you went to either college or you went straight off to university. And nowadays that's not always the case. You might know somebody and fall into a position, a job that you like to do. You might have a gap year, you might do some voluntary work and just find your feet other ways. So I think obviously it's important, your education is important, and I'm not discarding it at all, but I'm saying that there's another element, there's another side to it, and just making sure that you always have that balance. Have you guys kind of got any pathways that you want to go down, or?
Well, I'd definitely love to go down like a media journalism, hopefully even radio sort of route. So I've been doing lots of different things here and there to help with that, and I think for me now that's very important. Obviously, I think hopefully that will help me get to where I want to be as well, so it will remain something important, and hopefully I don't look back on it and go, that was really useless. So I think some things, and also I'm not putting too much pressure on myself to get there, because now it's kind of a thing of, well, if I don't, there's so many other things I can do. I don't have to take one route, there's so many different pathways, and I think it's just being aware that there isn't just, you have to get perfect grades, get to university, smash university, and then it's kind of, there's so many different pathways, and I think it's important.
That's a really good point, and it's some of the stuff that when I talk to particularly sixth form students about, like, that pressure of what happens after school. I like to kind of talk in pictures a little bit. So, imagine you skipped and you want to go to settle. There's like a main route that you go, isn't there? Like you go through like Dagenham, Hertford, whatever, like you go there. There are other ways to get to settle. They might take a little bit longer, they might be a little bit tricky, but you can get to settle another way. And it's just that kind of same with the exception of things like, if you want to be a doctor, you kind of need to go to uni. There's probably a few other professions, but if uni doesn't work out, the option, there are other ways to get there, aren't there? So yeah, I think that's really important to remember, because we can put a lot of pressure on that one route. If that comes, we don't get to uni one, it's kind of game over. It's not, is it?
Yeah, I think it's a bit similar like with A-levels as well. It's that whole sort of thing of what A-levels you do really determine. I think definitely it's kind of drilled into you a little bit. It's determine what you do, to go to university. So it's sort of thing of you have to start looking at university courses to see what universities require to then know what A-levels you want to do. And I think so that means the pressure that's put on there, is really hard, because if you do some A-levels that you really enjoy and then go, oh, I needed to do this as well to be able to do a course, sometimes it can be like, oh no, what am I going to do? So I think definitely having the realisation that it's not the end of the world, like this is not defining your future, although it feels like it is. I think it's just showing that you have other ways of getting there, like you were saying.
And have you got any paths that you go for?
See, I've been, contemplating and trying to decide on what pathway to go for a very long time. And I feel like in year 11, when we had to pick our A-levels, that stressed me out so much, because I didn't know what I want to do. But then I thought, because I really want to do medicine or science, but I don't know which one. But for medicine, there's specific required A-levels that I need to do. But I wasn't so convinced I wanted to do them. And I was really just going back and forth between the two. But I ended up picking my A-levels. I'm quite happy with the ones I picked. They're hard. But yeah. But currently I'm thinking of going down the medicine route. But I might take a gap year, jazz it up a bit, have a bit of fun, travel a bit, and then go and do uni, because I'm a bit fed up of schoolwork and I think I need a break a little bit, but I don't know, we'll see. So I'm not 100% set on it yet, but yeah.
And that's okay, and be open-minded and be willing to be resilient and change. Things can change and you go a completely different route. But yeah, that point there where you're thinking a bit of self-care, do you know what? I've been in education for so long now, I'm ready to have a bit of a break. I'm ready to just have some other life experiences, and then I'll rein myself back in when the time's right, if that's kind of the pathway you still want to go down, and then you'll go.
Yeah, well, I've tried to leave my options open with
Yeah,
the
that's
areas I've picked, not to constrict myself, but we'll see.
I think that's really good as well, and knowing that actually you don't have to have one thing that you set on, you don't have to have every little bit of your life planned out perfectly, and your career. Things can change, you can go different routes. You might decide to give something a try and then change your mind after giving it a go, and that's all right. And also, linking on to what you said, Anisa, then sometimes things aren't always going to work out perfectly, but there are different ways of getting there, and it probably links in quite well with what you said, Emma. I remember on my A-level results day, my teacher being really annoyed with me because we had to go on and say what our plans were for the next year, where we were going to be going, and I'd not quite got the grades that I needed for my university. So she came and she had a go and she was like, "Oh, too much playing football. You should have been studying more. What are you going to do now?" And my answer was, "Well, I've given them a call and they've let me in, so I'm going to the uni that I wanted to go to. So it's all worked out fine." And she was annoyed because the girl before me needed 3 A's to get into her uni and missed out by 3 marks in one subject. And she was going to study medicine. She wanted to be a doctor. And she was absolutely devastated. But looking back now, with that hindsight, then actually that worked out really well for her. She went and did a year, she took a gap year, did some amazing stuff, travelled, she went off to Africa and did some volunteering and things like that, and then started uni the following year, and she is now a doctor. So she got there in the end, just took a slightly different path to what she was expecting at the time, and she actually went to the same uni but a year later. So there are always different options and different routes for getting there, so it's not, the end of the world if we don't quite make something. There's always different routes to get there.
I think that's applicable at whatever age you are as well, isn't it? It's not just around like year 11 or year 13 like that. That's applicable kind of all the way through particular education, but actually for any grown-ups listening as well, that's kind of a really helpful thing to remember, I guess. Tom, what about you? We've heard from Emma and Lisa. What about you? And what are your kind of plans?
Well, I have many plans, but I'm not sure what I want to do. So one of them is be a doctor. So currently I'm just trying to because it's probably the most education, it's the one that requires the most grades and commitment, yeah. Then I'm just going to try and do that, and then if I fail or decide I don't want to do it, then I'll probably be fine to do a different thing that I'd also like.
Yeah. You're quite open-minded with what that might be.
Quite like to do youth work, but I am quite open-minded, yeah.
No profession.
Yeah, so if there is anyone out there who's listening who is worried about what's the next step, I've got to do this, what if I fail? It's not the end of the world. There's always different ways around it, and there's support available for looking into that, whether it be careers advice, whether it's taking a little bit of time to focus on mental health, whatever it might be, then that's okay, and then you can move forwards from there. Okay, to wrap things up a little bit, then if there's one bit of advice that you could give your younger self, in fact I might just say one bit of advice around sort of mental health and pressure, and also one other general bit of advice, life advice, that you could give to your younger self, what do you think it would be? What would you say, looking back, to say a younger version of you just about to start year 7 or is in the end of primary school? What do you think?
I think definitely don't worry about it too much, because things will always work out, and it's just knowing that everybody else is worrying about it. Everybody else has just finished primary school. This is a new thing for lots of people, so you're not the only one doing this. And talking to your parents, to other people, I think is really important, just to kind of get that, if you've got anxiety and things, just get it out in the open, so it's less of a weight on your shoulders, and other people can, other people know about it, other people can help you. I think definitely if you're talking to older people as well, because they'll have already done these experiences, they'll have lots to say, they'll be able to help you. And I think that's really, it's just having that whole kind of communication, not letting everything build up inside. Definitely, I think that's just basic piece of advice.
That's your kind of one on mental health? Have you got like a general kind of like life hack piece of advice as well?
Life hack.
So like put your vinegar on your chips first at the salt 60 chips. You know, that kind of, that's a good piece of advice that you're welcome for.
Or turning your duvet cover inside
Oh.
and holding it by the corners. Just shake it down, rather than trying to find and push it all the way in.
Oh, the experience that we have just kind of offered there is unreal.
I think that was the best thing that I learned at uni. I was absolutely thrilled when I worked that out. I could do it by turning it inside out and just shaking it down my duvet rather than...
What were you doing before then?
Yeah.
This is a tangent, isn't it? What were you doing before?
Trying to push it into the corner and like wrestle with it all the way up.
What, you go into the cover as well?
Pretty much, yeah. So,
Right.
Or have you got some kind of advice you give to you yourself?
I would not worry about. Not worry about tech. I would definitely not worry about what people think of you, because they'll forget you. First of all, they'll unless they'll just forget about you, so it doesn't really matter. And they if you think about what you think about everyone, you don't analyze what they're doing. Be like, why are they doing that? Because that's what I used to think people were doing, like analyzing everything I did. And then seeing how I was doing things wrong, but they really don't, because you don't do that to everyone else. People don't.
And your little life, that's really good. I like that kind of perspective of, when we worry about what everyone else thinks, it's a bit of an overblown kind of thing about how, not necessarily how important, it's really actually important, but how important we are to other people around us, like you were saying, Tom. What about your life hack?
Make sure you talk to adults, because they're probably smarter than you are.
There's a problem.
were you looking at anybody in particular?
He's like you were so smarter, did he? But that was that.
Feel free to correct and talk if you like. I'm guessing you were looking round at the other adults in the room.
No, it was at Pugh, definitely.
Thank you very much.
My life hack, well, it's not really a life hack, but advice would be, in school, don't worry, it's kind of linking to what Tom said, but don't worry too much about what others think. You're going to change friendship groups, and if you fall out with your friends, it's not the end of the world. I know friends are really important, but you're going to change friendship groups. If you look back to your friends from primary school, you probably don't even talk to, you'll only probably talk to about a handful of them. So it really doesn't matter if, you've changed friendship groups, and it's good to, sometimes it's better to leave your current friends and go find better people. So I wouldn't worry too much about that.
I think you've all put some really good points. I know one thing that I always take away with me now and do it in life in general is a bit of self-reflection, just taking a pause, taking a step back, thinking if you're in a certain situation, am I overthinking this sometimes? Because I know you guys have said, sometimes we're overthinking it, worrying about what other people are thinking, and at the end of the day, we're each our own individuals, we've got different strengths, different personalities, we have different opinions on different things, and that's okay to do. But in terms of situations, I always say, I take that step back and think, right, do I need to worry about this? Is there other support networks out there that can help me? So whether that's teachers in schools, family members, your friends, or literally just you taking that step back and having a bit of time for yourself. And then other times I look at situations and I take that step back and I think, do I need to worry about it, or do I need to let it go? And sometimes it's really important to let things go that are just sat as a weight on your shoulder, when in a whole perspective, if you look back on things, it's something I don't need to worry about, or it's something that's out of my control, and I'll face it as and when I have to, and I will get through these barriers. And David and Matthew both said, we sometimes are faced with barriers and we have to go down different routes, and it takes each individual person different times to get there, but they will get there eventually.
I think, off the back of that, I think if I could talk, give some advice to my 11-year-old self, is that is to kind of give me confidence that I can do difficult things. I was quite small at the age of, I was quite small until the age of about 18, if I'm really honest, I was like 5'4", and it was quite difficult, but that caused me quite a lot of anxiety. I kind of, looking back, I achieved quite a lot of stuff that I thought was too difficult for me. And actually, looking back, just to kind of encourage my 11-year-old self that, you can do difficult things, you can achieve it. Like you said, it might take a little bit longer than some other people, but that's all right. We're not all the same, we're not all robots, are we?
Yeah, and probably push yourself just that little bit to give something a go. Don't be put off if we're feeling a little bit anxious and nervous about it. It's okay. And probably a lot of other people feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
If not everybody there, there'll always be some level of nerves for a lot of things. So yeah, give it a go and you can achieve probably a lot more than you're aware of. Linking on to what Luke said as well in terms of connecting up with people and speaking to adults and teachers and so on. We're available as part of the Great Minds service. So we're in schools across Airedale, Wharfedale and Craven, so speak to your teachers, ask about us there. We're also available in the GPs. You can go on to our website, which is wacalliance.co.uk, and have a look. You can self-refer on there. Or if you're registered at one of the modality practices,
go to your practice website. There'll be a link to something called Clinic, and you can click the option about getting involved in social prescribing. And if you are under 18, you will get to be on person social prescribing.
Perfect. Thank you all for joining us today. It's been really good to hear from you, and I think you've all done really well with that. So to be proud of that, take it away. And it's certainly a good experience for anybody who's wanting to do media. Other than that, you have been listening to the Great Minds Podcast with myself, David, Lucy Owens, guest speaker Matt Smith, and young people Emma, Anisa, and Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shout out to my fiance.